Retreat series, Dhamma talk number 65. We are dealing with Dhamma Nupassana, mindfulness of Dhamma. Under there are 5 groups. The first one, 5 mental hindrances, is dealing with the negative mental states, how to observe dhammas of negative mental states. The second is 5 aggregates. It is observing the dhammas or the process of how the 5 aggregates of the body, the feeling, the perception, the mental formation, and consciousness. It is a way to look at how a self or soul under the 5 categories. In other words, this is not self or soul, but simply 5 aggregates. That's the second group. The third group is called 12 sense bases, or you can call it, if you like, 18 elements. This is a way to look at this self or soul under these 12 bases, how it operates, how it works, how the process is formed, how the operation is formed. That process, that Dhamma's observation is 12 sense bases. And the fourth one is called Sambojjhanga. Sambojjhanga, or enlightenment factors, or factors of enlightenment. Sambojjhanga is sam, is one word, correct, rightly. Bojjan is actually another word, body. Body means enlightenment. And the third word is called Nga. Nga is parts or factors or constituents. So Sambojjhanga, enlightenment factors. So in here, this is about looking at this in a positive mental state. The first one was looking and understanding the negative mental states. Now you have overcome all those things, and now we are looking at the positive mental state, Sambojjhanga. So under this factors of enlightenment, there are altogether 7 of them. The first one is sati, mindfulness. Second, Dhamma Vijaya, investigation of Dhamma. And the third is Viriya, effort, energy, exertion. The fourth is piti, rapture, joy, pleasurable interest. These are the translated words in English. And the fourth is passaddhi, tranquility or calm. And the next one is samadhi, mental concentration. And the final one is upekkha, equanimity. Those are the 7 mental states. They are all positive, all wholesome. So in here we need to know quite clearly what it means by Bojjhanga, enlightenment factor. So we have to start with enlightenment factors mean enlightened person. enlightened person actually understands thoroughly the true nature of mind and matter and their relationship connected with the specific and general characteristics of this Dhamma and Rupa. Enlightened person understand thoroughly and completely. And also they have the capacity or ability to realize all these mental factors in a most efficient, effective and balanced way. In other words, they know the inner workings of these seven in a most efficient, effective, in a balanced nature. So, the way that enlightened person understand these seven is called Bojjhanga or Sambojjhanga. So, because of that, we can say the way we know, the way an enlightened person knows about these are not the same as the enlightened person. For us, we can learn and we can try and observe the best that we can appropriately on each and every mental factors on our way to enlightenment. So the way we understand and the way we observe is different from the enlightened one. So we cannot say Bojjhanga, enlightenment factors. So in here, we all know we have teachers, we have great teachers in this Satipatthana Vipassana taught us. One of the teachers said, these are beyond your scope or beyond your domain. It is not the matters of your concern or our concern, an enlightened person concern. So when he taught these things, he says silence on this Bojjhanga, because we won't be able to comprehend or understand. But another one of a teacher, still, he gave us information on these seven factors of enlightenment. I would say our teacher, one of our teacher gave us information to help us to understand in our learning process. Help us to understand in our learning process, to reflect these and how to observe the best that we can. So he gave us information. So this talk, what is going to follow is based all the informations or teachings that our teacher gave us so that we can, or it can help us to understand. The first one is sati, mindfulness. So when this, let's call it this one, let's go to the enlightenment point. Enlightened factor of mindfulness. If it is present, or this mindfulness is present, we must note as mindfulness is present in me. Okay. What does it mean by mindfulness is present in me? What this means is simply you are mindful of all the objects. You have a mindful. And this one is you are mindful of the fact that you are mindful. So mindfulness becomes the object and mindfulness is the subject. you are mindful of the fact that you are mindful. Not on any other things, not mindful of other things. You are mindful of your mindfulness. Because mindfulness is the cause, mindfulness is the effect. You are observing both the cause and effects, using mindfulness as an object and mindfulness as the awareness. That's what it means. So, of course, the cause of arising of mindfulness was it. Always wise attention or wise reflection. So in here, what does it mean specifically by wise reflection? It means that you reflect with determination. You reflect with determination. I'm going to be strongly and sharply mindful. I will gain knowledge. I will experience joy and bliss. That kind of mental intention, determination, put forth, set forth. If you reflect like that, then your mindfulness become very strong, to the point of mindful of being mindful, to that point. But you have to go with those kind of reflection. And also, here's one. You are practicing mindfulness and sometimes thoughts come in. We are talking at our level, thoughts come in. And when we know that they are thoughts, the presence of thoughts, the presence of discursive thought, before we observe in one way, we note in one way. Now, the angle change. When we know there are thoughts or discursive thoughts, this enlightened factor of mindfulness is absent. You are not saying thinking, or anger, and so on. The thoughts come in, but the mind is, take this object as a say, there's an absence of. This is the presentations of absence of mindfulness. In other words, you are thinking, you are aware of the cause of the absence of mindfulness. That's what you are knowing. When you have discursive thoughts or simply thoughts, at that moment, you are aware of the cause of the absence of thoughts. These discursive thoughts are the cause. Absence of mindfulness is the effect. That's how one takes. You can take it there, and at that moment, mindfulness is absence in me. These thoughts are the cause and the effect. You know the effect. Mindfulness is absence in me. So they become quite delicate, the way it observes change in the Dhamma Vipassana. So that is sati, mindfulness. And the next one is called Dhamma Vicaya. Dhamma Vicaya. In English, investigation of Dhamma. And also, this Dhamma Vicaya, that's Pali word. Another Pali word for that, you can call it Pinya, wisdom, knowledge or wisdom. They are the same. But there's another word called Samadhi, correct understanding or correct view. They are all the same. They're different words. Dhamma Vicaya, Pinya, or Samadhi. Investigation of Dhamma, knowledge, wisdom, or correct or right view. They are all one and the same, but different words. They are used differently under different condition or different contexts. So from those words you already know this Dhamma Vicaya is. It is not that you are purposely investigating the Dhamma. You are not purposely probing the Dhamma like a detective investigating a crime case. Not like that at all. So one must understand that clearly. Otherwise you think you are investigating. The words become quite complicated and very sensitive. So basically it is correctly discerning the Dhammas. Correctly discerning the Dhammas. Or in other words, you are experientially knows and discerned the true nature of mind and matter. You know, you discern mind and matter, but experientially, not theoretically. That is Dhamma Vicaya, investigation of Dhamma. And Buddha always put us 4 points whenever you investigate something. Okay. There are 2, I'll just repeat the words. Lakhana, characteristics. You must know an object through its characteristic. You must know the object through its function. You must know the characteristic of the object with its manifestation and proximate cause. And if you cover from that 4 angles, you really know that object. So what is the characteristics of Dhamma Vicaya? Characteristic is penetrating things or objects. Penetrating things according to their individual essence. In other words, according to the specific characteristics. The way when you penetrate things or objects in their true essence, that is the way to cognize or understand that object characteristic. Function. What does this investigation of Dhamma function as? It functions as like it put a spotlight on somebody, it become everything, the sphere, and that person will be totally illuminated and everybody can see it. Spotlighting. Just like that, it illuminates the object under study. It illuminates the object that you're observing like a spotlight or like a lamp. That is the function of Dhamma Vicaya. And how does it manifest? Okay, how does it manifest? It manifests as, they call it non-bewilderment. Non-bewilderment. Or simply say, I like to say very simple words. They may not be precise. There's no surprise. So no surprises, you know everything. Non-bewilderment. It's the manifestation of Dhamma Vicaya. So in here, our teacher also give us not only very specific of this word, also give us the supporting causes, okay, how to raise this Dhamma Vicaya. Supporting cause. Our teacher give us 7 of them, how to support. First of all is, you must inquiry, question, of course to somebody who can answer. You must inquiry, you must learn, you must discuss about the Buddha Dhammas. the one somebody can answer or through the books, credible books. And of course you don't have to read all the Tipitaka, everything the Buddha's taught. It's very specific for us is try and look for books or inquiry about the 5 aggregates. 5 aggregates, Pinchak Khanda. Try to understand and read about 12 sense bases or 18 elements. That's because these are directly related to what you're practicing. And also learn, study, inquiry about dependent origination. Discourses on Paticcasamuppada, dependent origination. And also learn about the Four Noble Truths. Those are the subjects, specific subjects that one need to inquiry, learn, and discuss. And that will really support you for this Dhamma Vicaya, give you a base. And also when you are practicing for this, it's that you need a cleanliness. Cleanliness, the way it's put is internally and externally. Internally means your body, you have to keep your body clean and tidy, hygienic. And also your environment. Environment is the place you live, the room you live or sleep, the hall that you meditate, or whatever that is for a yogi, must be clean, neat and tidy. That's a supporting cause. And the third one is, if you want this Dhamma Vicaya or wisdom or right view, you need requirement that 5 controlling mental faculties, Pinchendriya, it has to be in a balanced order. You must be able to have a balanced 5 controlling mental faculties, Pinchendriya. And number 4, of course, you avoid ignorant people. If you associate with people who cannot answer, then you won't learn anything. You avoid ignorant people. Some people, they know a little bit here and there and they shoot their mouth off. That's mean ignorant. And you associate with wise people. Wise people are people who can answer your question to your satisfaction so that you can gain confidence in them. That's a wise people. So 4 and 5. 6, now you have all these things you got from the various sources. You have to reflect, you have to think profoundly, deeply, penetratively, dissect and dissect, backward, forward, forward, backward, on the certain topic that you are reading or studying. Let's say 5 aggregates. You theoretically know in and out, backward and forward. Reflect deeply and profoundly. And the final one is, one must always incline your mind for the knowledge, for the wisdom. Okay? Incline your mind towards the knowledge of one, wisdom or Dhamma Vicaya at all times. That's one way of approach. Another way to present is in all full posture you must be. When you're standing, you are just engaging with this knowledge. Sitting, lying down, walking. In other words, you put this as a top priority. Those are the 7 factors that will support you to have this Dhamma Vicaya, investigation of Dhamma, or wisdom, or correct or right view, Samadhi. So, I think that will be sufficient for this mental factor. The third one is viriya, effort. We have heard that so many times. We think we are master of it. But in here, when we say viriya under the sambojjhanga, it's a very most quite specific, not just putting effort or energy or exertion. And here, this viriya under bojjhanga is referred to the balanced mental effort. Mental effort must be balanced, not just effort. Apply on each and every observation. Whenever you are observing an object, that effort you apply in that observation must be balanced. Not only each and every observation, one after the other, every object, it must apply a balanced effort. Only then that is the effort of bojjhanga. As long as you are with the object, observing the object, your observation is very squarely balanced. Okay? If you are squarely, if you fall squarely and firmly on the object, that effort is a balanced effort. And if you lost the object, how can you lose? Another object replaced it. Thought replaced it, anger replaced it. If you lost the object, that means you are not applying sufficient amount of energy or effort. Object losing, the cause is you are not applying sufficient effort. And also, if you are zealously applying an excessive effort, what happened was, you can't stay with the object. You can't be with the object if you put excessive effort. You put so much effort to be with the object. What happened was, at that time, agitation comes in because of the excessive effort. Restlessness comes in, and you cannot grab hold of the object. You cannot be firmly and squarely on the object. So neither excess nor lack. That's the way one needs to apply. So what are the characteristics of effort or viriya? As we call energy. It is something driving, let's call it driving. Driving towards something. Okay. Something with object. There is some sort of energy that is driving towards the object. That is the characteristics of effort. And what is its job? This effort is to, whenever the effort arises, it is for doing something, there are certain mental factors are involved together. So its function is to consolidate it, associated mental factors, cetasika. Associated mental factors, they consolidate it. And it manifests as, it is written as non-sinking or non-collapsing. Non-sinking or non-collapsing. It manifests as non-collapsing. Because effort is like supporting nature, consolidating nature of all the mental factors that are arising with it. What are they? Such as mindfulness. If the mindfulness collapses, if mindfulness sinks, mindfulness disappears, that means no effort. So if there's effort, it manifests as non-collapsing, non-sinking, or supporting mindfulness to be there. So that is manifestation. One word is non-sinking or non-collapsing. That's viriya, effort. And the next one is PT, the next Bojjhanga factor, PT. PT in English is translated as joy or rapture, pleasurable interest, and sometimes happiness. These are all the words that translated in English. Joy, rapture, pleasurable interest, happiness. So in here, PT, first of all, we need to know it belongs to mental formation. You know mental formation? Mental formation is one of the 5 aggregates. Sankhara Khanda. Sankhara Khanda. Okay, mental formation or Sankhara Khanda. It belongs to that group. PT is in there. And how does it portray this PT? Let's use the Pali word. Let's become familiar with it. It represents as contentment or satisfaction. You feel content, you feel satisfied, you feel fresh, feeling fresh about going to get something that you desire. Let's say as a little kid, and the mother, the parents say, at Christmas you will get a bike, first new bike. Oh, blue color, pink color. So the kid knows about it, going to get, and that thoughts always make him or her happy. Joy, oh, I'm going to get a bike. Tell the friends or whoever that he can. That kind of feeling, that kind of joy, that kind of pleasure that is facing is called PT, arising from a satisfaction or content feeling of something that you are going to get, which you desire. That's a PT. Explaining that much because there's another word called sukha, also translated as happiness and sometimes as bliss. Okay? So what's the difference between PT and sukha? And sukha is, first and foremost, sukha belongs to the different aggregates. PT belongs to the aggregates of mental formation, but sukha belongs to the aggregates of vedana or feeling. Okay? Vedana khanda, aggregates of feeling. So they belong to different aggregates. That's number one. Number two, when you have this vedana, it's accurate experience of the desirable object obtained. That means on a Christmas day, the kids got the bike and put the hand on it, and then he felt great joyful. That is sukha, feeling. The first one is PT, okay? Joy, rapture. One is based on what you're going to get, and the other one is actually getting it, got it. They are all feelings, but one belongs to the vedana, one belongs to the sankhara. So that one is neat to know, I believe, because that's why our teacher taught us specifically for that. So in here, PT, what is the characteristics of PT? And in here I will quote the exact words. Okay. To render connascent states more endearing. To render connascent states more endearing. And this connascent state in here is the kids know that he is going to get a bike. And this PT, suddenly, as soon as he knows, he just, let's say, got a goosebumps because he wants that bike so much, he got a goosebump. That is PT. It makes that state more endearing. These PT make it more endearing. Function. How does this PT function as? It functions to refresh both the body and the mind. Because when you get goosebump, that is on the body, and also the mind is too. To refresh the body and the mind and pervade both the body and the mind. Pervasive into the body and into the mind. That's the function of PT. And manifestation, it manifests as elation. Now let's go back to the meditator, the yogi, meditating, and when he got PT arises, he feels a great elation. That's a manifestation. So in PT, we need to know there are 5 kinds. One is you feel those kind of joy momentarily. Okay. The first one is minor, just a little bit, but noticeable. And the other one is a little longer, we call it a momentary. And the third one is called wave life. It comes in like a wave, you can feel it. Like you can see the waves coming from the ocean, one wave after the other. These kind of joyful feelings come in waves. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can feel it both in the body and in the mind. And the fourth one is called uplifting PT. To put it very simply, you become very light, as if you're floating. You feel light in your body and you feel light in your mind. Uplifting PT. And the final and the fifth one is called pervading PT. In other words, and every cell of your body can experience that. It's pervasive. Let's say you put a little cotton ball into the oil, it soaks up the whole thing. That's called pervasive. That kind of joyful feeling, rapture or pleasurable interest. So most of the time, meditator some may experience 1 and 2 or 1, 2, 3 or 4. And some, they experience all 5 of them, depending on the individual. But 1 to 4 is quite common, but the 5th is a little rare. So when you know that PT is present, of course you know that's a very obvious thing. And the key thing is to be able to know there is PT arising in you and know that, oh, there is PT arising in me. In other words, you're applying mindfulness directly on the experience you are having. If you don't note there is PT arising in me, what happens is you are enjoying the PT and that's it, which means lobha or raga. But when you are aware, when you are mindful, PT arising in me, then automatically you dissociate oneself with PT and you. PT is the process going on. Mindfulness is awareness of that PT. 2 different things. That's the mindfulness. It puts everything on their own seat, no mixed up. So the next factor is called passaddhi. Passaddhi, in English, translated as tranquility or calmness. Tranquility or calmness. That's the next factor. And this tranquility or calmness, it arises or it occurs. Okay, how do you know it is? It arises or it occurs. How does it present? Let's say somebody is very tired, or there's a lot of unpleasant feeling arises, and suddenly those tiredness and unpleasant feeling disappear or subside without putting any special effort. That is passaddhi. One is tired and have unpleasant feeling, but suddenly out of nowhere they just subside or disappear without any putting special effort. That's passaddhi. It sounds weird, but let's take an example so that we can understand a little bit better. Let's say you are climbing up a mountain. Let's call it a race. You're climbing up a mountain, or you're racing. You're climbing, and here a lot of people, there's about 3,000 feet in height. We call it Grouse Mountain in Vancouver. We climb. Some people takes 2 hours, some people take 45 minutes. You just climb and climb and climb and climb. You're puffy and tired and short of breath, but you still go. You're very tired. The closer you get to the end, the more tired you get. And finally you get to the mountain top. And the mountain top, you just sit down on that rock slab and then look out to the view, and then you give a big sigh. And at that moment, suddenly you feel peace, you feel calm, you feel tranquil. Okay? You just feel totally weight is lifted off you. But you were tired, you were climbing for hour and hour, constantly, very tired. But at that moment there's no tiredness. Instead, there's that calm. That is passaddhi. To see it in a way that we can understand. And in meditation, you are practicing, and suddenly you put a lot of effort, sometimes tired, sometimes you're constricted, restricted. Your mind rebel against everything, but you keep on doing, and at one point you feel that suddenly, out of nowhere, everything stops, and then that calm and tranquility arises. That's the passaddhi. So, now we know what passaddhi is. Of course, when you're practicing, your mindfulness becomes strong and your concentration becomes strong. Those are all related with it. At a certain level of this concentration, you experience that passaddhi. So the characteristic of passaddhi, tranquility, is basically it calms all the disturbance that is in your mind, okay, consciousness, citta, and also in your cetasika, mental associates. Any kind of disturbance in your citta and cetasika, consciousness and mental factors, they come down. They calm down all the disturbance. That's the characteristics of it. And what is its functions? The function is to eliminate any and every disturbance. That is their function. They eliminate it. And manifestation, it manifested at that moment. There's your mind, okay, your consciousness and your mental associate, let's call it your mind, is like in activity. It's not busy, it's not walking, it's not restless, it's not agitated. In activity in the mind, you will notice. In that inactivity in the mind, there will be a coolness. That is how it manifested, in activity or coolness in the mind. Mind means both consciousness and mental factors. And what are the supporting causes? How can you make it arise? Of course, you are practicing. We are not talking about the proximate cause. We are talking about proximate cause. How to raise this passaddhi, how to raise the tranquility. And here, proximate cause are, one need to eat a suitable food. Okay, suitable food. That is suitable to you, not too much, not too little. And one needs to have a suitable weather, not very cold or very hot and sweaty. And also need to have a very good posture that is appropriate for you. In other words, suitable food, suitable weather, and suitable posture. 3 things. And also one need to reflect on the law of karma. Because if you really understand and if you really reflect on the law of karma, it gives you contentment. It gives you an attitude that things will take according to its own actions. And what actions you are taking will produce the result. And also, the situation that you are facing in is the result of what is brought out by the karma of the past. That kind of thing. So that is you need to study about karma in details. And a certain point that really clicks you, reflect on that. Reflecting on karma. And also, you want to be tranquil and cool. So, avoid restless people, avoid agitators, and associate with the calm and composed people. Because environment always condition you. If your environment is noisy, agitating, things like that, that affects you. If the environment is calm, you become calm. Very simple, but Buddha stressed very much on the influence of your environment, both animic and inanimic. And finally, of course, always incline your mind towards the coolness and calmness. If you incline your mind, that is where you will be going. So those are the supporting factors how to raise passaddhi, tranquility or calmness. The next one is samadhi, mental concentration. Okay, so I think everybody is quite familiar with the samadhi. So it is the ability to stay or to stuck with an object, that's samadhi. If you can stay with an object, stuck with that object, you have established samadhi. If it is a moment, you mudra, momentary concentration, kanika samadhi. But if you are practicing samatha, then it is repeatedly on the same object, unbroken. That is samadhi. And characteristic, the characteristic is your mind doesn't wander, non-wandering. Non-wandering. If you have concentration, the mind doesn't wander, or in other words, non-wandering or non-distraction is the characteristics. Function. The function is to keep or to glue all the associated mental associates, to glue all the mental associates together. Because whenever a mental factor is arising, it's not only one, there are a bunch of them based on the condition they arise together. Whenever there's samadhi, it keeps everybody together, it glues them together. That is its function. And manifestation, samadhi manifests that peacefulness. When you have samadhi, you are in peace. No agitator, no wanderer. And the proximate cause of establishing samadhi is the comfort, gladdening, happiness. If you have a comfort, if you are gladdened, if you are happy, samadhi will arise. It will follow automatically. And when you have samadhi, when your mind is quite focused, and if you're aware of it, just note, okay, not samadhi is in me, but practical sense is peacefulness is in me. You'll be aware of the peacefulness. You won't be able to see the concentration. Where is that concentration? You will see the concentration in a manifested form. That's a peacefulness. Peacefulness in me. Peacefulness in me. That's a noting. In other words, you're being mindful of the concentrated moment. That is samadhi. And the seventh and the last one of this seven factor is called upekkha. This upekkha is in the scriptures, our teacher said there are 10 different kinds you can see upekkha and 10 different modes it presents. Based on the context, it means differently. So let's call it in here, because we are practicing enlightenment factor, let's call it bojjhanga upekkha. Upekkha, that is in context or of the context of bojjhanga, enlightenment factor. So upekkha in English is translated one word, is in here would be equanimity. Bojjhanga upekkha, equanimity. As there are 10 kinds, but there are 2 kinds we should know very clearly so that we can contrast with equanimity. There is a feeling of indifference. As some people know, that's, I think, quite a number of people know indifference. That feeling of indifference is also called equanimity. It's also called upekkha. And also neutral feeling. Neutral feeling. Okay. Neutral feeling is also called upekkha. So this bojjhanga upekkha is different from the feeling of indifference or different from the neutral feeling. Neutral feeling is actually sensation, vedana. Okay. Pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, and neutral feeling. So that is one upekkha. Indifference is another type of upekkha, and this equanimity is the bojjhanga upekkha. One should know as such. So what's the characteristics? Characteristic is need to be precise as in the is being presented. conveying, this equanimity conveys the mind, consciousness and mental factors evenly. In other words, when there is equanimity, the mind, let's split into two, the consciousness do its own job perfectly and the mental factors do their own job perfectly, not in excess, not in lack. Evenly, if there's equanimity, they are, in other words, each is functioning with the top efficiency for what they are supposed to do. That's called conveying evenly onto the consciousness and mental factors. The function is basically preventing deficiency or excess. It prevents deficiency or excess, or it inhibits partiality. It becomes impartial. It inhibits partiality. That's just its job. You can call it prevent deficiency or prevent anything to come into excess. What deficiency? Of the consciousness and the mental factors. And it inhibits partiality. Okay. So, what is this manifestation? Manifestation is obvious. It creates a neutral zone, neutrality, a feeling of neutrality, impartiality in everything that one faces. You have that mental state. And what are the supporting cause, or the cause that make you raise equanimity, supporting cause to raise equanimity? And one has to bear first and foremost, in general, these are the supporting causes, that mean general or distant causes. One has to bear detached attitudes whenever you face things or objects, whatever, animate, inanimate, whatever it is. When you are dealing, facing, engaging, keep a detached attitude. Detached attitude doesn't mean walk away, doesn't mean indifference. Okay? You are still engaging, you are still doing, but you do it with a detached attitude. And also avoid people who are egoist, who have so much ego. I know. That's it, Mr. No. People who are egoists towards against things or beings, animate or inanimate. And of course, always incline your mind towards equanimity. Those are the supporting causes. Keep detached attitude, avoid the Mr. Know-it-all, and incline your mind towards equanimity. And so there are 7 causes, 7 factors. All these 7 factors, the cause of 7 factors to come into perfection. What's the cause? The cause is Arhata Mega. Okay. Path wisdom of Arahat. Arhata Mega. That's the cause. And once a person has this Arhata Mega, that ones, which means the enlightened one, dwells, knowing all these factors are rising and passing away internally and externally, and also realizing there are only these 7 factors, 7 mental factors There are only these 7 matter factors, but nothing else. There's no such thing as a being or a self or a soul or a person or individual. Basically just simply these 7 factors. They are also arising and passing away. And then the Arahata, or the enlightened one, lives independently without clinging to this world of animate world and inanimate world. So may all of you be able to practice mindfulness insight meditation, and may you be able to attain Arhata Magga and live independently without clinging to this animate and inanimate world as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much.